TAX, Texas American Federation of Teachers, and you're testifying for the bill.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Vice Chairman and members, thank you. My name is Patty Quinzi. I'm the Director of Public Affairs and the Legislative Counsel for Texas AFT, where we represent 66,000 educators and support personnel, including folks who work in charter schools. And we thank Representative Rodriguez Ramos for bringing this really important bill to provide transparency and accountability to parents and taxpayers who pay almost $4.5 billion per year for charter schools. Unlike public schools, charters have their self-appointed boards. They're not accountable to parents, voters, and sometimes they meet on the opposite side of the state because they meet where their headquarters are located, not necessarily where campuses are located, where parents and voters can hold them accountable. So this bill calling for a forensic audit is crucial because charters do not have any meaningful oversight by TEA or the taxpayers, and it shows. We've actually conducted our own research, sometimes triggered when our members who work in charter schools alert us to fraud, waste, misspending, or violations of special education laws. We have countless examples of how charter schools who receive on average $1,000 more per pupil because they receive the state average of school funding, how they've been able to game the public school funding system for profit. We've seen luxury condos for record storage located in a high-rise in the Houston Galleria area. We've seen the purchase of a hotel and even the purchase of an equestrian center. We actually stumbled across the plane lease because we were listening to some board minutes from IDEA, and we heard about that plane lease for $15 million, which, by the way, doesn't include the salary of the pilot or the fuel, which was also discussed. All of this would be paid for with our tax dollars. The other scandal that, again, was just someone stumbling upon the luxury suite at the AT&T Center that IDEA charter schools have. A parent snapped a picture, and notably, the IDEA suite at the AT&T Center is larger than the AT&T suite at the AT&T Center. And my last example is of a Montessori charter school person who leased property to his own school and collected $2 million in rent. He then turned around and sold the same piece of property for $1.9 million, almost double the appraised values. So I'm giving you these examples to show you how little oversight there is over charters and to show you how charters operate when they know that nobody is watching. So I strongly urge you to support this bill and in the name of transparency and accountability. And a quick mention about the fiscal note. There's no mention in the fiscal note about the amount of savings that would have, which I think would more than pay for the small fiscal note there, including just an example of one superintendent who made $860,000 for 900 students in their class. I mean, just that would pay for the annual audit. So thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Members, are there any questions for the witness? Representative Rodriguez Ramos.
So if I had a child who went to an IDEA charter and I found out that they were spending $15 million to lease a plane, I understand a lot of these schools, and I even have family members who nephews and nieces go to charter school, but they're like their lunch isn't even, they don't even have a playground, or their lunch isn't even prepared at the school because they don't have lunchroom, so they'll bring in boxes of food. I remember my nephew just telling me the horror stories of, we don't have a cafeteria, we don't have a gym, they give us boxes of food and that's what we eat. But at the same time, then they're leasing a private airplane for $15 million. So as a taxpayer, or parent, or a family member, in a situation like IDEA where my kid doesn't have a playground, they don't have a library, they don't have a cafeteria, but the executives have a private airplane, who do I complain to? Who do I talk to?
That's a great question. And there's a way to complain about laws, special education violations at TEA, but there's no real place to complain about waste and fraud. And the troubling thing about it is it's legal right now. What this superintendent did, turning around and selling that property, that's perfectly legal because the legislature has not made it illegal. So they're getting away with what they can get away with, and because they know nobody's watching. They know there's no oversight. And we, again, have just stumbled across these numerous scandals. So,
do most of these superintendents, or like in my local community, RISD, Richardson, my school board members are in my neighborhood. I see them all the time at the grocery store. We vote them out if we don't like them. Mm-hmm. In a situation like this, where I don't like what the board members did at IDEA and getting the private, stadium suite, can we vote them out?
No, you absolutely cannot, because these are self-appointed boards. And more importantly, you can't really go talk to them. I mean, what if your child is at IDEA in El Paso, but the board meetings are in the Valley? I mean, how does a parent go confront and hold these people accountable? It's not possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Members, any other questions? This is where I say I had a bill on that, because I agree with you on the charter school transparency, where it isn't fair, right? Because charter schools can have different locations all across the state, and no matter how big the school district is, at least the way that an ISD is set up is you're probably within driving distance to wherever the school's administration building is, and you get notice and all that kind of stuff. And we had legislation several times, and the charter schools always opposed the legislation to require transparency on the school board meeting. So I absolutely agree with that.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Well, thank you for your testimony.